darkness. It was
Like
tall and
Daddy?
gaunt,
Oh
with
my
long
gosh, man.
spin about that moment.
Run! What's up, chat? It's KillerTheGamer. Today, we are gonna watch horror animated films like this. Yeet. And today, we're gonna watch the first one. Two disturbing true horror stories animated. Yeet chain. You know what I mean? Yeah, Rami. Alright, let's go in the videos.
It's been 4 years since this happened, but I remember it as vividly as if it happened last night. Sometimes, when that woman's grotesque face appears in my dreams, I wake up screaming. Even now, as I type this out, goosebumps crawl across my skin, and a cold sweat trickles down my back. It was mid-June, on a rainy evening. You know those days when the sky never really brightens, and the rain just keeps falling, like the world's holding its breath. Yeah, it was one of those days. I was on the veranda, rushing to bring in the laundry before the storm got worse. That's when I saw something out of the corner of my eye. I turned my head. There was a woman standing at the end of the driveway, just in front of my house. At first glance, it looked like she had no head. A short, involuntary scream escaped me. Not loud, just a startled, breathless noise. But when I focused, I realized the truth was somehow even worse. Her head wasn't missing, it was just tilted all the way back. So far back, it looked unnatural, like her head was broken. And her mouth was wide open. She didn't move, she didn't speak. She just stood there, facing the sky. The only sound was the rain. I stood frozen for a full minute, watching her. She never looked at me, never shifted, not even a twitch. I felt cold fear drip down my spine. Something in me knew, don't provoke her. So I quietly continued gathering the laundry, moving as softly as I could. I started walking toward the front door. That's when she snapped her head toward me. Stopped. Her face was lit up with this unbelievably joyful expression.
Y'all know that that shark from the deep abyss. What's that called again? Yeah, the goblin shark, man. Bro looks like the goblin shark. For real, for real.
But it wasn't normal. It looked stuck, almost like a mask. People smile, and then their face returns to neutral, but hers didn't. She just kept smiling, wide, unblinking, unmoving. It was a smile I can't even begin to describe, the most joyful, most horrifying expression I've ever seen on a human face. Something inside me said, she's not right, she's not safe. But I didn't say a word, I didn't make a sound. I ran. I bolted for the front door, yanked it open, dashed inside, and slammed it shut behind me. Click, I locked it. 3 seconds later, there was a massive bang against the door. I screamed and dropped everything. The laundry scattered everywhere. I collapsed to the floor.
What are you doing?
I screamed. My voice sounded like a terrified child's, but there was no answer, just silence. I remember thinking, how did she get here so fast? I had just shut the door, just seconds ago, and somehow she had reached it and slammed into it with terrifying force. It sounded like a body slam, not just a knock.
I'm calling the police!
I shouted. Still silence. I crept to the window and peeked outside. She was back in the driveway, standing exactly where she had been before. Head still tilted back, face still grinning at the sky. Every now and then, she would twist her body like she was celebrating some private joy. I called the police. They arrived not long after, and they arrested her. I remember one of the officers asking me if I was okay, but I couldn't take my eyes off her. Her face, it was bleeding. Blood was dripping from her nose and
Y'all
forehead.
can't do me like
That's
that.
when I realized she had slammed her face into my front door. But even with the blood, she was still smiling. I never heard what happened to her. The police never followed up with me. They just took her away.
Again. Come on,
Maybe she
Dad.
was mentally ill. Maybe
Y'all
she
can't
was high.
comment.
I
Y'all
don't
can't
know.
comment that, bro.
But I still don't understand why she ran at me like that.
Y'all lucky I don't have a
And I can't stop
moderator right now,
thinking,
bro.
if I hadn't shut that door in time, she would have slammed right into me. I think about that moment every time it rains. My name is Erica, and this is a true story that happened when I was 23 years old,
We got
though I
spirit.
remember it like it was
We got spirit
yesterday.
like Roman Reigns, bro.
I'm 61 now, and this experience still haunts me. My friends and I had decided to escape the city for a weekend of camping, eager to disconnect and enjoy nature. The woods were dense and eerily quiet. The only sounds were the soft murmur of our conversations and the occasional hoot of an owl. As the night deepened, the firelight
How's an
flickered,
owl?
and the shadows
Not
seemed
bad.
to slither and twist with a life of their own. We shared great ghost stories, each one more chilling than the last, until an uneasy silence settled over the group. Just as I was about to break the tension with a joke, a faint rustling came from the edge of the clearing.
Did you hear that?
Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. We all froze, straining
Y'all
to
burn the
listen.
trees, bro.
The rustling grew louder and closer. It wasn't the sound of an animal or the wind. It was slow, deliberate.
Maybe it could be an
Probably
animal,
just
like
a raccoon.
honey badger, you know.
Jake muttered, trying to sound
Maybe like
brave,
acting like King
but his
Vaughn.
eyes betrayed him. Before anyone could move, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was
Like
tall
Daddy?
and gaunt,
Oh
with
my
long,
gosh, man.
spindly limbs. But what stopped us cold was its face, or
Yo.
rather, the lack of one. Where its
Slenderman-
face should have
Slenderman got
been was a smooth, featureless expanse
Sleeper
of
build
pale
now?
skin, like
With a
stretched
Slenderman.
wax.
It's just Slenderman
We
with a
stared
sleeper
in
build, you know.
stunned
Look at
silence,
those
unable
chests,
to process what we were seeing.
Yeet.
Then, with a sudden, jerky movement,
shit.
the faceless being lunged. Chaos erupted.
But why you
We
running
scrambled to our
backwards, bro?
feet, the firelight casting frantic shadows across our panicked faces.
Run!
I screamed, grabbing
Run.
Sarah's hand and dragging her toward the forest. We bolted through the underbrush, branches clawing at our skin. Behind us, the faceless creature moved with unnatural speed, its limbs snapping forward like spider legs. We stumbled into a clearing, hearts racing. Jake and Tom were gone.
We have to find them.
Sarah gasped, her eyes wide with fear. Then came a scream, high, sharp, and full of terror. It was Jake. We ran toward the sound, the scream
why would
cutting
you
off
run?
abruptly,
If it was
replaced
me,
by a wet,
I would freaking
sickening noise that made
yeet
my
out of there,
stomach
bro.
lurch. We found Jake near a large oak tree. His body was crumpled, blood pooling around him, eyes frozen open in a mask of pure horror. The faceless thing loomed over him, its head tilted as if admiring its work.
Tom? Where's Tom?
Sarah sobbed. I turned, and there he was, another lifeless figure twisted unnaturally on the forest floor, his face contorted in pain. The being looked at us. We ran again,
Y'all run,
deeper
Jack.
into the woods, the sound of its pursuit never far behind. My lungs burned, my legs were lead, but I didn't stop. We burst into another clearing, and there it was, a small, crumbling cabin.
There!
I shouted. We sprinted to the door and slammed it shut, barring it with a thick wooden plank. The creature pounded against it, each blow shaking the cabin. Then, silence.
Do you think it's gone?
Sarah whispered.
I don't know.
I said, dread curling in my chest. The silence dragged on, and then the door exploded
hell nah,
inward.
bro.
The faceless being stood in the doorway, head cocked, savoring our fear. It moved toward us, slowly, arms outstretched. We slowly backed up until we pressed ourselves against the far wall. Sarah screamed as it reached for her,
Oh,
its
run.
long, bony fingers inches from her face. In a final, desperate move, I grabbed a broken piece of wood and struck it. It barely flinched, its empty face turned
better
to
run,
me.
bruh.
It reached out, and the moment its skin touched mine, everything went black. I woke up the next morning on the forest floor. The cabin was gone. Sarah was gone. Jake, Tom, gone. All that remained was the blood on my clothes and the crushing dread in my chest. To this day, I don't know what that creature was. Maybe it was something not of this earth. Maybe it was never
Slenderman
meant to
with
be
a
seen.
sleeper build. No,
I never
man.
told anyone what
Yarami.
happened. Who would believe me? Now, I see a psychiatrist trying to get this thing out of my head. But sometimes, I still wake up gasping from nightmares, hearing that inhuman scream. I think about Jake and Tom every day. I wonder, would they have families now, if that night never happened? I just want young people to be careful. You never know what's out there. Because sometimes, the woods take more than just your peace and quiet. Sometimes, they take everything.
That it, chat. That's it. And yes, that's it. Killer the Gamer. But where's my freaking? Where is it, bro? Where's my freaking? Oh, here. Live, laugh, and love. Yeet. Hope y'all liked the video that we just watched. So don't forget to like and subscribe for more of my daily videos. Yeet. See ya in the next one.